Hello, everybody. My name is Drew Heffernan, and my research question was trying to find out how to stop the Los Angeles Chargers offense in a game against the Kansas City Chiefs. As we all saw, for the Chiefs fans out there, the results were not what we anticipated, in that the Chargers beat the Chiefs pretty handily. One of the cool things that I was able to find on this is that each year there is a data analytics competition in the NFL, and this information on this data set that I used is actually from what they would use to be in this competition. So it was on the NFLsavant.com, and without further ado, I'll get into my research. First thing that I had to do was clean the data, and I did a little bit of Tableau back in college, so I was familiar enough with the system. And one of the things that I struggled with early on was not having a clean set of information. So after going through and cleaning up the information, I was able to get rid of some of the things that I didn't necessarily need and keep only the pieces of information that I really needed to analyze this data. So what I did was I kind of broke down into I wrote down on a piece of paper what I thought I needed to find the end result. So these steps were trying to figure out first, okay, what type of play was it? Was it a pass play or a rush play? So this was the first chart I had to figure out. And one of the things that was tough was they had a bunch of different types of play types. So trying to get all the filters in there correctly and make it look like we can actually tell a story was a little bit of a challenge. But once I got through all that, this was my first chart. So we can see here that the Chargers, and one thing that's really cool about Tableau is when I'm in the software, I can hover over it and it'll tell us exactly what the measure is without, looking at the labels on the sides. So they passed the ball 42 times and they ran the ball only 19. So the next thing that I had to do was look at the play selection by down. So first through fourth down, what were they running? And as we can see here, you're looking at, they obviously passed the ball a lot, but they passed it 14 times on first down compared to rushing it only 12 times on first down. So what we're trying to figure out with all this is how are we as a defense going to stop the Chargers offense? And so looking at this, you can see that, on first down, it's kind of a give or take on if they're going to pass it or rush it. So you kind of have to use that information to feel out how they're going to run their next plays. So then I had to look at the play selection percentage by down. So if we come over here, this will show you that, okay, so the Chargers, let's see here. The Chargers passed the ball 63% of the, passed the ball 63% of the time on first down, and they ran it 33% of the time. So looking at these measures, we were able to figure out, okay, so now we can dive a little bit more into the per down breakdown of how they are attacking our defense, basically. The next question I asked myself was the pass and rush percentage by yards to go. So when we look at the information here, the Chargers never had a down where they had a more than 12 yards to gain on the next one. Typically, they had a lot of 10 yards to gain. And so looking at this, we can see that they were rushing it about, that's passing it about 61% of the time and rushing it about 33% again. So looking at this chart, we're able to see, a little bit more of, okay, if they have, let's say, 4 yards to gain, they're going to try to pass it more so than they are going to rush it. So that's going to tell us, how we kind of need to set up the defense and maybe focusing more on which type of yards to gain there are in our play calling. So then the next thing that we looked at was rush direction by yards gained. And this is where I kind of ran into a little bit of a problem because it wouldn't count the unique instances where they would rush, maybe 6 yards off to the left guard, because they rushed the ball a total of 20 something times and our data here is only actually at 18. So this all falls back probably into somewhere the data wasn't cleaned well enough. So we can see here, the different places they ran, how many yards they gained, and things like that. So next I went into passing yards, pass type by yards gained. So we can see here that they went short right a lot. And this is what we were trying to get with the last graph, to show the distinct amount of times they would maybe, if they threw it short right, they threw it there 9 times. So that was one of the barriers that I had to try to get through. And, being able to see it for the passing at least was very informational, and being able to see different places on, where they're throwing the ball. And it looks like they're, throwing a lot of short passes. So, maybe trying to adjust the defense to try to defend that short pass, rather than maybe playing off and defending the long pass would pay off for us. So, finally getting into the breakdown of the passing versus the rushing, we're able to see the breakdown of passes versus rushes and on which types of downs. So, when we really look at the different type of heat maps that we have back here on the passing type yard by yards gain, we're able to try to give them, a recommendation on, okay, so look, obviously we're passing the ball a lot short. So maybe we can move our defense up to try to protect against that short pass and also protect against when they rush as well.